Hi, can everybody hear me? Pat, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Tom.
We're going to get started in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
I'm getting on early just to check to see if everything's working.
That's what I was doing too.
Vince, are you still there? Okay, thank you everybody for hanging in there with us. We're going to be setting up to do our first zoning hearing board virtual meeting. And we're also trying to make sure we're heading out on the airwaves for the Bristol Township Cable TV channel and worldwide on YouTube. So in the next couple of minutes before we start at 7 o'clock, we're going to be checking on a few things. If you're having problems getting in, or if you're, well, obviously, if you're in, you're not having problems getting in. But if we have problems during the meeting with moving, screens around and whatnot, just bear with us. This is our first foray into this. So, can you hear me? Patrick, can you hear me? Could you? Thank you. All
Yep.
right, I'm
We're
gonna
good.
mute and, so thanks, everybody. We'll be back. Okay, hi, everybody. If you're looking for the zoning hearing board meeting, this is it. It's going to start in about 10 minutes. We're still checking on some stuff, making sure all the board chairman and court reporter can get on. So we will, there's Mr. McMahon. Jim, can you hear me? Jim, can you hear me? There he is. Jim, you good? No? Jim, can you hear me?
Yeah, Tom, can you hear me? Tom? Tom? Can you hear me, Tom?
Jim, you want to try the audio?
Tom, can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me, Jim?
I can,
I think you just muted.
how about now?
I hear you.
Okay, good. Well, we're off to a smashing start then.
That's right. Looks like we've got 6 people.
Okay. So we got,
We've got 6 people. I'm going to come into the room, talk to you for a minute, Jim.
okay, sounds good.
Okay. We have 3 minutes to work out all the kinks. Ken, can you hear me?
Ken Fetterman's here.
Ken, can you hear me?
I can. I can see you, but apparently you can't see me.
No, I can't see you, but as long as you're there and as long as you can communicate.
I can fully participate. I think because I am remote from my office and I signed into the email in my office, my video is not working. Let me see if I can get it to work. But if not, don't worry about it. I can hear you.
We had the baby.
Oh, yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
We're good. We're good. I'm in.
And we are, right now, the
Abigail.
Cindy, our court reporter, is setting up.
Yeah, she's gonna need a few minutes, but
I was gonna try and go on my computer on call, that way I can see people's faces.
yeah, that's fine. Take all the time. Yeah,
Is there a Wi-Fi I can sign into?
Tom, is there a Wi-Fi she can sign into?
What?
Is there a Wi-Fi Cindy can sign into? Wi-Fi password?
It's 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
No, I'm kidding. Hang on a second.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, he's on his way out.
I'm trying to see if I can make a connection. I can still hear you guys, right?
Yeah, I can still hear.
Okay, great. Let me see what else I could do here.
I could go on my hotspot on my phone, but I'm on my battery.
What day was it? Close to Christmas?
Yeah,
Oh,
The
beautiful.
17th.
Okay.
Dropped in a.
Yeah.
Is that a blanket or?
No, it's her
bottom?
dress.
Her dress, okay.
Yes.
Cute.
Is that your first girl? Or?
No, it's my second. I have 3.
You have 3 altogether?
Yes.
3 of your
Boy, girl, girl. Yes.
How's the boy?
8.
I had all girls.
You have all girls?
3. They're all grown now.
How old are your girls?
32, 29, and 27.
Are they married?
One married. Yeah.
No grandkids yet?
No.
Mine are 11.
My 6-year-old though, she can't get enough of this baby. Like, everything, like even changing the diaper,
Yeah.
she wants to be there to help change the diaper.
Fine.
You know,
What's the password?
there's no password for the guest Wi-Fi.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll be right with you, everyone, all right?
This one? I was wondering if that's.
Town council for-
Mhm. Nothing.
That's not gonna be this meeting, but-
That's not until we were actually going to the hospital.
I knew, but you told us.
Right.
Hello. You could write in your email. Right?
No, you gotta get it off the, it is on there, but it's easy to go to the agenda on the webpage.
Okay.
I think I emailed it to you too.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I just did it from your email. That's how I think it's-
All right.
All right.
If anybody needs an empty box of tissues, right there.
I got five of them, huh?
I haven't heard
For
that.
some reason, my camera's not working.
You know what you look like, Ken.
Yeah, it's enough, right? Bad enough you gotta hear me.
I'm glad everybody's patient. This is our first Zoom zoning board meeting, so.
Okay, Ken, are you there?
I'm here.
All right, I think you're gonna have to do your talk about the hearing officer
Okay. Fine.
option.
So, yep,
But,
So, you
Mr.
know,
Hang on, Ken, one more thing, the court stenographer is still setting up, so everything we're saying now is just being recorded by Zoom and
Okay.
YouTube, but go ahead.
I'll wait till you tell me to go. So let her set up.
Yeah, I'll give you a heads up, Ken, when she's ready, all right?
And Board Member Grillo is sitting next to Mr. McMahon at the appropriate safe distance.
That's correct.
But even though Jim's not wearing his mask, Andy is.
Andy. We make this work. I see Patrick Dolan, Elizabeth King, Joe.
Okay, folks, Egan's the first thing on the agenda, so I'm gonna start putting everybody else in the waiting room. Don't get offended.
I finished.
Bryce McGuigan, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Yes.
All right, are you here for Lavender Builders?
Yes, sir. Lavender Builders.
All right, I'm gonna put you in the waiting room.
Thank you very much.
It's like putting baby in the corner.
Thanks, Ken.
Mrs. King, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, great. You're number 3 on the agenda. I'm gonna put you in the waiting room, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think, Mr. Chairman, I've caused all the damage I can cause in the name of due process.
Yes.
Sorry about that, Jim. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Jim,
I'm
hang on.
trying to-
Jim, you might have to get back on. All you board members.
Trying to see if I can get on with my phone video. There you go. I think I got in. Can you still hear me?
I can see and hear you, Ken.
That's a winner.
Okay, slight problem. Everybody bear with me. Ken, looks like you're trying to connect the audio again.
It's okay. It's my computer. I can disconnect that if necessary. If it's bothering anything. But I'm on my phone now.
All right, now
My
we can
phone's
see you
better than
too,
that.
extra bonus.
Yeah, my phone's better than my computer.
So you're on there twice there, Ken, but if you get any echo, that's why.
Yeah, it's not gonna. It's happened to me before. Don't worry about it. It's not gonna hurt anything.
Yeah, right there.
Yeah, when you tap it, there should go across over it, and that's when you're muted.
Any message? Is Zoom on your phone, maybe?
I'm going to mute this for 1 minute. Maria, did you guys hear that?
Yeah, I could hear that, Ken.
Like, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
And I think you're connected on two devices there.
I think you're correct. Let me see if I can get off of this one.
Yeah.
Okay, you want me to use your phone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the audio's good.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Cindy.
All right, how about now?
I cannot hear you now. There's Ken Fetterman.
Yeah, and I put the other volume way down, so.
All right,
Okay,
everybody ready?
Ready.
All right, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America to the republic for which it
which
stands,
stands one nation, under God,
liberty and justice for all.
justice for all.
All right, let's get this party started. So with us, we have Ken Fetterman, our solicitor, Director of Illinois, Tom Scott, our stenographer, Cindy Oliveira, and another board member is Andy Grillo. So with that being said, Ken, would you like to give your speech, please?
Sure. So we have the ability to have a zoning hearing officer basically make the decisions. He can confer with Andy Grillo. It's allowed by the code, Bristol Township Code and Municipal Code, MPC. So as long as everybody understands that you don't have to go through with the hearing, if you don't want, you can ask for a continuance. But if you elect to go through, then Mr. McMahon is going to make the decision again. And you're in the same position you would be in as if the full board were here. You could appeal it within 30 days. But if you don't want that decision to be made by one person in consultation with whatever other board member is here, then you can opt out. That's the way we've treated it. Do you understand that? Did you hear anything I said?
I did.
I heard you, Ken.
Okay. All right. So which matter is before us?
That'd be Commonwealth Egan High School.
Okay, fine. So we can proceed. Someone needs to present the mail-ins so I know that proper notice has been given. Tom, how do you want to accomplish that? Where is the applicant?
I am right here.
Okay.
Patrick-
Can you
Patrick
show?
Connor.
Yeah. Okay, Patrick. I hear you. Can you show me the return receipts or proof of mailing the notices to the surrounding neighbors and the posting?
I don't have that information. I wasn't aware I needed that information for this meeting.
Okay. Well, that's the first. We can't even even if we were all in the same room, we wouldn't even be able to proceed without it, because that gives public the notice, and that's your proof to the zoning hearing board that you provided notice. So I would say, unfortunately,
I did pick up the posters and the notice letters that from Tom's office and posted them at the school and handed out the letters to the neighbors.
did you get them signed?
The letters?
Yes.
I was not aware that I had to get anything signed. I was just told to drop them off at the neighbors, and if the neighbors had any issues, they would submit whatever letter to your office.
Okay. Well, it's not my office, but it's the zoning hearing office.
Whatever.
Zoning. Yeah. Well, I do apologize. I mean, as I said, this is not an issue because of COVID or a remote meeting. This is just standard procedure. So if you had told me you got them signed and you could deliver them tomorrow, I think under these extraordinary circumstances, I would be inclined to go ahead. But since it's clear that you haven't, you may have delivered them, but I have no way of knowing that whether or not your neighbors actually got these things, even though they were dropped off. So either they sign or you send them certified mail return receipt requested, and your choice is either to produce the return receipt cards, the little green cards, or copies of the white notices. I can't help if there was a miscommunication, but we would have to move this to next month. There's nothing we can do about it. We don't have jurisdiction without, it's like service.
I understand, but was this communicated in any kind of letter or anything to us, or was that in the letter that were dropped off at the neighbors' houses?
I'll let Tom speak to that, I think. Tom, is that for you to speak to or who? Because I'm not involved with the issuing of the notifications. That's something between the zoning office and the applicant.
Well, if I'm hearing this correctly, Ms. Dolan, you said you did deliver the notices?
That is correct. I picked
All
them
right,
up.
so do you have, you don't have any of the proofs of the delivery of the notices? You don't have anything to, would be able, if we're all in the same room, there's nothing to hand in saying, these people recognize that they got it. Is that the issue?
Yeah, I again, was not aware, it was not communicated to me that I needed to.
Yeah, it's in all the material we hand out. I mean, you know, we did it with the soccer field. Yeah, it's required, but because of the situation we're in now, Ken, if you want to, it's up to you, and if the chairman accepts it, that after the applicant puts the case on, they can deliver something to your office tomorrow, you know, notarized statement saying that they did it, who they sent it to, however you
I
want to
mean,
do it.
under the circumstances, I mean, generally speaking, no, I wouldn't proceed, but under these kind of strange circumstances, all I can tell you, Mr. Dolan, is that if you don't either produce green cards or those letters signed off by your neighbors in the next, let's say, 24 hours, that they had notice and chose not to come, I'd even give you till Wednesday. Then we're just going to have to treat this as not have happened. So I'm not sure how long your presentation is, but I can't change the fact that we don't have jurisdiction unless there's proper notice given. I want to do it, believe me. I'm willing to give you the opportunity. You think you'll be able to get a hold of these people tomorrow?
No, none of them are at home during the day.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I think we're going to have to.
Well, Ken, my suggestion was the office, Mr. Donald's office submits to your office, you know, affidavit saying that what the notifications occurred.
What notice? I'm missing this. I'm sorry, guys. I'm
Yeah,
familiar with this.
Tom, I know you want to make this work, but I have no idea how he could sign an affidavit if all he did was drop something off in someone's mailbox. Doesn't meet the requirement. I mean, you
How
have to
did you
have
do it, Mr. Donlin?
I picked them up from your office and posted the two poster boards that you provided me, and then personally dropped them off, as Ken said, in the neighbors' mailboxes. I went to tech school, talked to their security officer, and handed them the form. Went to Wawa, handed them the form, talked to their manager. And there's only one neighbor on our side of the street, and also dropped it off the house. There was actually nobody home the day that I did that.
Hey, Tom, if you're willing to do a little follow-up, I'm willing to accept an affidavit, but I definitely want this follow-up, because if any neighbor objects to what's been done here, it's not going to be binding. I'm just telling you that.
Well, I mean, but here, just to repeat what my suggestion was, and I'm sorry if we're having trouble with the audio, was that the applicant has a list of addresses he delivered them to. Is that correct, Mr. Donlin?
Yes.
All right. Has a copy of what he delivered. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, Tom. Say
Thanks, sir.
that.
You have a copy of what you delivered to them.
I believe so, yes.
All right. So what I'm saying is
Well-
that you submit affidavit, which is notarized statement, to Mr. Fetterman, stating who you delivered it to, what addresses, and how.
Okay.
Ken, that's my suggestion.
Tom, I'm willing to go along with it, but I would at least have to pick up the phone and call these people, because handing it to a security guard or some clerk in Wawa without getting a signature for it doesn't fly, unfortunately. But if you want to proceed,
How many of these do you need?
I think it's 3, right? From what I'm hearing.
All I need is 3?
Now,
No.
it sounds like there were
You
more
need them
than
all.
3, Ken. How many did you deliver, Mr. Donlin?
there's a whole row of houses on Queen Anne Drive directly across the street from our field. And then there is one house, the Meeks family, that lives at the corner of our, in the back of us. So there was probably 9 or 10 houses.
Yeah, that's not gonna work. I mean, Tom, if I handle it that way, how could I ever ask anybody to produce a notice? We're just gonna have to move this to next month. It is what it is. I'm sorry, but that's not a call I can make. It's just basic procedure.
All right.
I'm sorry. It is what, we do
You're
this with
saying that you don't want to
everyone.
open the record?
I can't open the record. I don't even have jurisdiction to take testimony without no proof that the adjoining neighbors have been notified. So if we can open up the record and take testimony, but if one of those neighbors says, I didn't get it, we wasted our time. So you want to take a shot at wasting your time, or you want to do it the right way?
I don't want to waste anyone's time, but I also don't want to waste my time. And I know that I will not be able to get all my neighbors in 24 hours to sign this form because they are not there during the day. I don't feel comfortable because of COVID knocking on someone's door and entering their house or anything like that to get this.
And I don't blame you for that. I don't want to interrupt you, but I don't blame you for that. That's why we use registered mail, and right now the mail is a mess.
Absolutely.
All right.
All right, you know what? Why don't we do
Everybody
this?
right here. Here's what we're.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we proceed? Let's proceed, and I will take steps necessary through my office in coordination with Tom Scott, as long as I have Mr. Dolan's word that he'll cooperate, and I'll see if we can't button this up after the fact.
I will absolutely 100% cooperate with whatever you need. I will do anything that you ask. I just was not aware that this needed to be, and my fault, I guess, for not reading everything. I'm not familiar with this. I'm an athletic director. So, my apologies for not understanding what you were asking.
All right. Now, I don't even think you were sworn in. Was he sworn in?
No, he was not.
Cindy, did you take any of this down?
Yes, I have been.
Okay, so everything you just said, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, or whatever the administration of oath is?
Yes, I do.
Is that good for you, Cindy?
Yes.
All right, and we'll just have to follow up. These are very extraordinary times, and I'm willing to make the extra effort as long as Jim's okay with it.
Yeah, that's fine. But go ahead, Mr. Dolan. You can start with your presentation.
Okay. I'm going to try and share a screen here. I'm not, again, familiar here, but hopefully this works. It says host disabled attendees share screen sharing.
Yeah, hang on. I'm going to try to get it up here on my screen for you. I got your PowerPoint.
You do have it? Okay.
I'm going to put my video on stop, so because the more important the board sees the stuff, I'll be listening to it.
Okay. Did that work? Anybody can see that?
Yes.
I can.
Jim, can you see that? Jim,
Yeah, go ahead.
can you see the Commonwealth Egan Catholic High School on the screen?
Yes, we can. Yes.
All right, go ahead, Pat.
Okay. The next, how do we get to the next frame, number 2?
I'll do it. Hang on.
Just click it.
I got it.
I don't think I'm controlling it. Okay, this is the actual sign that we requested to install on our southwest corner at the corner of Worcester Road and Queen Anne Drive. This will be on the exterior of the steel perimeter fence. Next frame. This gives you the plans, the dimensions of the sign. It actually shows the sign before the field was completed there, where it's going to be, also location on the map there.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
You can't hear me?
Wait a second. The last I heard was where it's supposed to be.
Okay, that, we're on frame 3 here. This is the sign location and design features. I have my audio all the way up, so can you still hear me okay?
I can hear
I
you.
can hear you, it glitched for a minute, so I lost something.
Okay.
Start at Mr. Dolan, start at Worcester Road and Queen Anne Drive, please. And then start over with your presentation from there, please.
Okay. All right, screen 2 is the view of the sign that we are proposing that we're to place on our southwest corner of the property, which will be on the exterior of our steel perimeter fence that was installed. And this is at the corner of Worcester Road and Queen Anne Drive. And then frame 3, screen 3.
Hold on, Mr. Dolan, please. We're having technical difficulties.
No problem.
Can you back to the record or no? Like, where do you want them to start from again?
Yeah, you want to use my phone? I don't know.
Somehow that got unplugged.
Cindy, this is being recorded too, so if you don't get everything, you could always go back to the recording or no.
Recording in progress. Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? Can somebody say something?
Hello?
I can hear you. I can hear you, Cindy.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Dolan, you can start.
We were speaking at the corner of Bristol Road and Queen Anne.
Okay, again, we're on screen 3, which is the sign location and design features. This gives the overall dimensions, the footing, and the location, along with a picture of the actual sign. Tom, if you want to go to 4. This is just a picture of our school building located on Worcester Road, number 5. We do have one sign that's on the property now, which is located in that frame. I believe the ordinance indicates that you can't have more than one sign on your property. So I wanted to show that one, and that's why we're putting in for this waiver. Number 6. Sorry about the snow. It happened to snow the day I was taking pictures, but that's the location of Queen Anne and Worcester Road. Number 7. Again, that's just a view of the steel perimeter fence. The sign is going to go in front of that. We've had all the markouts, electrical markouts done, so it's not impeding on anything that's underground. So it will be in that location, as close to the fence as we can get it. Number 8. Just a narrow, an overhead view of the property and where the signs. Everybody okay? Okay.
I'm good. Yep.
Okay, and then the next few frames are one around the township to show other schools and businesses that have more than one sign on their property, and that's, if you just want to scroll through these, Tom, that'll, just give an indication of, Bucks County Community, or Bucks County Technical High School actually has 4 lit signs on their property. The new Wawa across the street from us has 2 signs. Brittany Springs apartment has actually 3 signs on Bristol Oxford Valley Road. And then the next, this is not an electric sign. There will be no electricity going to the sign. It's going to be a freestanding sign that will be illuminated by solar lights only, that's actually off of the box from the solar lights. So they are only run by solar, obviously. And then the last frame, we plan on decorative landscaping around the sign to beautify the area. I believe that's the last frame, Tom.
Yes.
Okay. That's my presentation.
Okay, Mr. Dolan, I have one question for you.
Yes, sir.
Talking, I get an echo. I have to turn my volume down.
All right, so no electric, being illuminated by solar lights. How many solar lights is there going to be? on the sign?
I think there came four to the package, but yeah, 3 or 4. And that's just to illuminate the sign itself. They're not bright luminaries, lights or anything that's going to light up the whole corner, just to light up the sign.
Just the front of the sign.
Correct.
And the lights are not freestanding in the ground, they're actually part of the sign?
No, they will be freestanding in the ground. They'll be, planted in the ground with the post that they come with to shine on the sign itself.
Okay. Andy, you got any questions?
It's not gonna obstruct the view at all. Will it?
Will it obstruct the view of the corner as far as traffic goes?
No, we purposely set back the fence line so that the sign is going to be right up against the steel fence so that sign will not obstruct the view. You have plenty of room. I think there's pictures or overhead view of where the sign is going to go that can show you. Actually, our steel fence is within code as far as being off of Worcester Road and Queen Anne Drive. And it will be further back from our fence.
Right, so it's in the it's not in the triangle then?
It is in that triangle.
Okay.
It is or it is not?
It is. It will be in that triangle set back off of the corner.
But I'm talking about the traffic triangle. So your fence is set back. I'm sorry, what was that?
No, I'm sorry. I misunderstood your question.
Yeah. So
It will not be in the traffic triangle.
okay. All right.
What's the, if I may, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Donlin, what's the distance? We're looking at the proposed sign location from the intersection there with the field behind it. What's the distance from the curb to the sign there? Do you know?
I don't know exactly, but I could obviously get that for you tomorrow and send you that information. I don't have the exact measurement.
Do you know what the distance the fence is from the existing fence to that curb? No.
To the curb or the middle of the street? I believe this. No, I don't know. And if I say a number, I don't know if I'll be correct on that. I know that it was properly set back from the right of way from Worcester and Queen Anne Drive. Actually, it was set a foot back behind the right of way on our property.
All right. So obviously, we want to make sure that the sign is on the high school property and not in the right of way.
Yes, it is, absolutely. I mean, I purposely had them design that fence so that if we did put any sign out there, it would not be on the right of way. It would absolutely be on our property. If you see the overhead view, I don't know which, I have no control over this, which slide that it was. There is an overhead view that shows you the perimeter fence. I believe that's it there. So you see the gray line where the red arrow is pointing? That's our perimeter fence, that gray line.
Right, so the point I think is that you want to make sure, and it might be worth taking out again, but from the people who've had to do the fence, that it's not going to be, in the, and I'm sure the right of way is probably shown on all the plans we had from the soccer field project.
Correct.
So you want to have whoever is doing it, take a look to make sure it's not going to go in the right of way.
Well, we did. Pat Reagan from True Line Fence is the contractor that installed the fence. And I made sure with him, we both made sure that when they were installing this fence, that setback of the fence would not be in the right of way and was on Commonwealth Egan's property.
Right, and that there's enough room for the sign.
Yes. It's I'll get the measurements for you tomorrow, Tom, and I can email them to you.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, if you want to check it before they build it, because you don't have to build it twice.
Absolutely.
Because if the fence is right on the border and you put the sign in front of the fence.
No, actually, the border goes down to Queen Anne. You see where I have that indented, the fence is indented.
Yeah.
That's a good, I don't know, 15, 20 feet on our property.
All right, so that's still well part of the high school property.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was the whole purpose of designing the fence that way, so that we would not have that issue.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I guess there's nobody from the audience or anybody who would like to speak for or against this project. So I think at this point, at this time, I'm going to approve this applicant with what was spoke about earlier about getting all the zoning notices taken care of first.
That's fine by me. We'll follow up.
Sorry, who was that?
I
That
said
was Ken.
that's fine by me. It was Ken. We'll follow up.
Tom, can I email you or call you tomorrow to discuss? Which do you prefer?
To discuss the notices?
Yeah, I want to make sure I get this right.
Right, that's definitely worth talking about, but I would prefer we do it now with Ken listening, because he's the one that's going to make the decision. So Ken, just a reminder, what I had said prior to this was my suggestion. You let me know if I'm way off base. Is that for tomorrow?
No, here's what I'd like to do, Tom. I'll say it. I'd like you to just give me a statement of what you did under oath, meaning it'll be an affidavit. If you send it to me, I'll add the magical legal language to make it an affidavit. Then my office will follow up with the surrounding neighbors to make sure that they got the notices, they knew the hearing existed, and there's no objection. And that's how we'll do it.
Do you need a list of those addresses too, Ken?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
And Tom has my email address. So Tom, if you just provide my email address, then I can communicate directly. You're certainly welcome to be on the emails, but I think at this point I need to take charge of that to make sure we get it done right.
Ken, just so you know, I give your email address to everybody.
What's that?
I said I give your email address to everybody.
Yeah, good. That's fine.
And if we don't remember, we can go back and watch it on YouTube.
Amen. It's all good.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, you good?
I will have this to you as soon as I can tomorrow morning.
All right.
Okay? Anything else from
Thank
me?
I don't think so, Mr. Dolan.
I have a question. What was the name of Pat from True Line?
Pat Reagan, R-E-G-A.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, thank you very much for your time. My apologies for delaying this, but hopefully we can straighten this out.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Good night.
Thank you.
We ready for the next one?
Ready.
Joseph Trader, 51 Coral Lane, Levittown, PA.
Yes.
Mr. Treader, you there?
Yes, I'm here.
I'm going to swear you in, Mr. Treader. Could you raise your right hand, please?
Okay.
Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
All right, Ken, you're up.
Okay. So this is sort of an extraordinary circumstance due to the time, COVID, and lack of board members attending. The code, the municipal code allows for there to be a hearing officer appointed to make the decision on their own, essentially, with the understanding that they can consult with any other board member who happens to be present, which is Mr. Grillo. So if you agree, Jim McMahon is going to make this decision. You still have the same right to appeal it, but if for some reason, any reason, you decide that you would prefer to wait for a full board, you can request a continuance and we'll move your matter to next month. So it's your choice whether you want to proceed with Mr. McMahon making the decision on behalf of the board or not.
Yeah, I'll go ahead with it.
Great. Jim, it's all yours. Well, no, it's not. Where are you located presently? Are you at the Bristol Township building?
Myself, no, I'm in my house.
Okay, great.
But it's my other house in Bristol Township.
That's okay. Can you show me the mail? Did you get return receipt cards or signed?
Yes, I
letters?
got them. Yeah,
Can you show them to me, please?
yeah. There's one.
I
That's
can't see
two.
them. Maybe hold them up. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Good.
That's two. Here's the third. Here's the fourth one. And
Right.
I did try to get a lot more, but I spent like 3 days trying to get people to sign the paper. Nobody was either answering their door or they look out the window and not come to their door. So, the four is the most I could get.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the same thing we did with the last applicant. I would like you to provide, Tom Scott will provide you with my email address. Everyone has it. And then you can email those notices to Tom and I, the ones that you have.
Okay.
And then you're going to prepare a statement with the other addresses, names and addresses of the people you tried to get to open up their door.
I don't know their names.
All right, well, if you don't know their names, I'll take their addresses. You know their
Okay.
addresses, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to take that statement and turn it into something a little bit more formal for our file in terms of an affidavit, and then you'll agree to sign off on it. All it's going to say is what you did to give the neighbors notice.
Okay.
Fair enough?
That's fair.
Okay, so if you're willing to do that, then let's proceed and we'll follow up tomorrow, Tom.
All right, Mr. Trotter, before you leave, I'm going to need your email address.
It's J. Treader and Sons, A-N-D. yahoo.com.
Got it. Thank you.
I'm on file at the township.
All right, Mr. Trotter, you can start with your presentation.
Okay, well, I'm asking permission to build a pole barn at 6008 New Falls Road. The height is my problem with the 25 feet. When I bought the property, I was under the assumption that I wouldn't have a problem with the pole barn because there was one that was pre-approved before I bought the property, and that had to be closed out. So when I went for this pole barn, they said it was too high. So that's where we're standing at right now.
According to the letter Mr. Scott sent you, it cannot exceed 16 feet in height, and you want to go 25 feet?
Correct. It's for my business. I want to have my home business there. You know, we've reputable contractor. We've been in business for quite a few years, and I want to make that like my. Right now, I rent a warehouse, but I want to be able to, you know, have my house there. And when I bought the property, it was pre-approved for a building that was 21 feet high. So that's why I just assumed that 25 feet wouldn't be a problem.
Understand that it have been paid 21 feet.
I'm sorry.
Who gave you the information that it was approved for 21 feet?
I have the paperwork when I bought the house that it was pre-approved
By the township, by the
Yes.
real estate agent?
by the township.
Okay. Well, we'll have to let Mr. Scott elaborate on that a little bit, but for right now, you can continue with your presentation.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have much more to add than that. I mean, the property that I have on New Falls Road, it's like 88,000 square feet. It's not your normal residence.
You have a site plan you can show them?
Yeah, I got a site plan, right? Yep, and I'm gonna try to do this PowerPoint presentation. See if I can send this over to your computers.
Why don't you email it to me, Joe? And
Okay,
I'll put it up.
email it to you right now.
Yeah,
Can you do that?
T. Scott. T. Scott at bristoltownship.org, all spelled out.
All right, we got it. We're coming. I got my assistant here. My kids, my kids here working my computer. Hey, we sent it over.
Okay, hang on a sec.
You can ask him.
Okay,
Yeah, that's the proposed building. So similar to that, not quite that one.
Go to the last page.
Go to the last page on the PowerPoint. There you go. And that's the plot plan. And that's where that's the size of the building right there, yeah. Compared to the property.
What sort of business are you in, Mr. True? Streeter?
We do construction, home remodeling. It's a family business, the four boys, me and the four boys and four other employees.
So what do you
One
plan on
best a
storing?
couple
What
times.
do you plan on storing in this pole barn?
Some lumber, some shingles, mostly equipment, generators, we have three of everything that you can imagine. Just a little bit of everything, little woodworking going on.
There going to be office space in there?
Very little. I'm not sure how much, if any.
All right. So is that getting us into a whole nother ballgame here, Mr. Scott, as far as office space and parking spots and all that other good shit, or no? Excuse me.
Well, the use is permitted as an accessory use for residents, contractor.
Right. So it meets the use or doesn't meet the use?
Well, I mean, it's permitted. I can't tell you the ins and outs of what, I know, I'm sure you've told me when we met a couple of weeks ago, but it's permitted by right in that district. Given the size of the property, I can't imagine there'd be a problem with it as far as the basic zoning requirements for the use.
Just
I mean,
want to check.
I'm not, I think the only thing that was a problem was the height. And I did issue a permit in 2017 for a building to exceed the 16-foot limit. And obviously that was a mistake on my part. So anything that's over 16 feet, I can't approve. It's got to be the zoning hearing board.
Well, that was a previous owner you submitted that permit to, correct?
Yeah, and they never built it either. I don't think. Yeah, well, yeah, they didn't build it. You might remember them. They applied to run a flower shop there,
Oh, okay, sure.
a retail flower shop, and then they left.
Yeah, Levittown Florist or something that was called. I do remember that. Yeah. I mean, does that apply to this property since he bought it? Does that like roll over to the next homeowner or next property
What,
owner?
the flower shop?
No, the 21-foot permit.
No, that permit was a mistake. I should not have approved that. Even though it was issued, it's still illegal. It's like an illegal permit.
Okay. Got you.
Yes. Now he needs his own approval from you guys because I can't. I mean, I could give him the, not to sound flip, but I could give him the Sion where it doesn't do any good unless it comes from the right people,
Understand. Andy, you have any questions?
They're going to think with a massive building right next to their house. There's a lot of houses right next to that property.
So Andy's concern is the neighbors surrounding the property, that massive building being in the property.
Yeah, I knocked on every door. I knocked on everybody around that place. Every single house.
Okay, but you only got four answers.
Did you get answers from these people?
Yeah. Yeah, I literally seen people in the backyard and one guy is selling his house and he absolutely refused to sign the paper.
So did you try certified mail to any of them?
I don't have any names.
Mr. Scott, anything else to add to this?
I'm trying to see what I sent. the applicant before. Bear with me. Sorry, hang on a sec.
How come can't see nobody?
Yeah, so we're talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, we're talking about 2,400 square feet?
Correct.
All right. Hang on one second. All right, I just changed the screen. Is that showing up?
Yes, yeah, yeah, the general,
All right, look at number 2 here.
yes. Okay,
Yeah, that's what I had sent you back in, when did we meet? December?
yeah, probably right, yeah. So what's that say? The maximum amount of floor devoted to the home occupation shall not be more than 25% of the principal structure, excluding ground area covered. So my building only covers, I mean, I don't know if I'm reading it right, but it's only 2.7% of the property.
All right, it's 25% of the principal residence.
What's that? What, that little tiny house that was there?
Yeah, what this says is the maximum amount of the floor area devoted to this home occupation shall not exceed 25%, should not be more than 25% of the ground floor area of the principal residence structure,
Okay,
including the area covered by attached garage and such other similar building.
But it's not the lot size, it's the residential building.
okay.
So how many square feet? I think what we're trying to get at is how many square feet is the house?
How many square feet is the house?
Is there a house, Tom?
What is it, Dave?
Is there a residential dwelling on the property? Yes or no?
Yeah, yes, there is, yes.
And
So,
how many square feet is it?
let me see. 48 by 26.
All right.
So yeah, again, if you can hear me, I think the number 2 there would be for if it's in the house.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, like, I can have an office that could take up a quarter of the house. I don't think that has to do with the other structure, though.
Again, because this property is so unusually large, I mean, it's got to be one of the biggest residential properties in the township.
Yeah, it's gigantic. Yeah, we've taken quite a bit of trash out of there, you know, I mean, I'm only trying to make it better.
I hear you. The issue becomes if you didn't request the variance for this, okay, you're allowed 312 feet based on this number too. It's not based on a lot size.
Well, Ken, what the point I was trying to make earlier, and I may have failed to do so, was I think number 2 refers to the house. If you were going to have it, you're going to use the house. Otherwise, you'd be restricted by the zoning ordinance, accessory building, residential accessory building restrictions, impervious surface, so on and so forth. And the only one, because even though the building's so big, the lot is so big, the only one he bumps up against is the height. You follow me?
Let me just, yeah, I do. Hold on one second.
Mr. Treater, why 25 feet? Can you explain that to me?
Because it's, the one section is gonna be like a loft for storage, like I can store like trim pieces, like long pieces of wood. Like, I can buy bulk trim and it's usually 16 feet or so. So all that stuff's going up in like a loft area. But as for the other parts of the building, it's going to be for the trucks. So there's going to be, you know, garage doors and 30 feet, once you get a truck in there, it's only allowing 10 feet if you put a truck inside the building. So you can't store things in the garage part. So that's why we have the loft area. And that's where it comes up to the 25 feet because that's how it was designed by the pole people.
Well, with the vast amount of property you have, why can't you make it longer and not higher?
Well, I mean, that's when I was under the assumption that we weren't going to have a problem with this, it was already bought and paid for.
I think it reads how it reads. You really require another variance. I mean, to meet this standard, it's pretty clear the maximum amount of floor area devoted to this home occupation shall not be more than 25% of the ground floor area of the principal residence structure. I don't care inside, outside, on the moon. And it says excluding the ground area covered by an attached garage or such other similar building. So you're allowed to accept out a garage from that calculation, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm not understanding. I don't understand.
Well, normally an accessory use, oftentimes, I wouldn't say normally, but oftentimes an accessory use is using the structure with some accessory manner. Like you have a retail store, you have a residential, and you want to have a small store or something related to the building itself. In that regard, I don't think Tom is wrong, but it reads the way it reads. And we have nothing to measure it up against except the principal residential structure. And what you want to put up, I think, is 2,400 square feet, which is larger than the structure, I guess, or close to it. So
it's just about the same as the structure.
Yeah. So that the issue becomes, I mean, we're still following up with these neighbors and the notice and so on and so forth. So the issue becomes, was the public put on notice of really what you wanted to do so they would know whether or not to show up and object? It's not so much an issue of, yeah.
I'm sorry, I keep interrupting.
That's all right.
I don't necessarily think that I think the controls for the accessory building in the zoning ordinance are appropriate for this particular proposed use. Because, I mean, we've seen just in 2020, we probably saw 5 or 6, accessory building variances. And the minimum setback and the impervious surface coverage for the site and so on are a practical limitation on those buildings, including the ones that would be used for home occupation contractor use. The scale of the building in this case, the square footage, 99% of the properties, it would be way too big. But in this case, because the property is so big, the building fits. And I don't necessarily think that the restriction on the floor area controls accessory building sizes, because there's other parts of the ordinance that do that. I think it would control the portion of the house itself, so you didn't have what in essence would be a non-residential use because it's taken over the house. So you put the limitation on the size of the portion of the house that you can use. Because there are people, right? There's somebody lives in residence, right?
Yeah, Tom, I understand what you're getting at. I get it. It's just not clear. The bottom line is whether the board wants to allow this building on this lot. And even if it's allowed as an accessory use, and I interpret it differently than you do, it still comes down to whether or not the board wants to allow that particular structure, given the lot size, given the impervious area. I get what you're saying, but literally, to come under accessory use, I mean, based on what you're saying, this wouldn't even apply. Because an accessory use is using a building that's an existing residence, and you can use 25% of it for that accessory use. So what you're really making an argument about is that this section really doesn't apply for the relief he's requesting.
Well, I don't think it applies to the garage.
Well, it's clear that the garage is exempt. So if this is just a garage, then there's probably not an issue. And again, it comes down to what the board feels in terms of allowing it and whether the legal standards met or not. That's really up to the board.
And I know,
I'm just, you may be
a couple of
trying
months
to.
ago, we had that one over by the Edgley Fire.
One at a time.
Hold on.
One at a time.
Sorry, Jim. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that you may be trying to fit a square peg into a round hole with how you categorize this. Regardless of what we may have done on any other application, it's not necessarily relevant to this one. Again, but it's really up to, it's how the board feels about it. I mean, why did you, let me just see something. It's a little cumbersome with all this going on, so hold on. So you rejected this based on height.
That's correct.
So basically, he wants to go higher than 16 feet. He's asking for a variance. I mean, this accessory use, I don't even think it necessarily applies. The question is, why did he need to go up 25 feet, and does the board want to grant that? That's really what it comes down to. I'm not even sure we're in the right category here with this accessory use. And to read it literally, it applies to square footage of a residence, not to some ancillary building. Now, again, having said that, it does exclude ground area covered by an attached garage or other such similar building. This is not an attached garage. It's totally separate. So basically what he's looking to do, he's looking to put up a building that's too high. Is there a good reason for it? other than I thought I could do it and I paid for it. And I think that's what he has to articulate to Jim and Andy. And that's how I read it.
What is the size of this pole barn again? Just refresh my memory here.
The pole barn's 30 by 80.
2,400 square feet. Footprint.
Correct. And then it will have 2 garage doors, and then three garage doors. So basically it's split in half. So it's like 30 by 40 and then, 30 by 40 and 30 by 40. So the one section is going to be for vehicles. And then the other section is going to be for storage of materials, equipment. You know, I don't know how else to explain it, but it just takes up a lot of space. I got scaffolding, there's just numerous things.
This might be a stupid question, but at what point does a pole barn, that square footage, is no longer a pole barn, is a warehouse? I mean, could anybody answer that for me?
No, I can't answer that. I mean,
Listen, it's zoned R1, bottom line. It's really a commercial use on an R1 property. The property happens to be very large. And, you know, the question comes down to what's around it, and is it going to be repugnant or out of character with the neighborhood? And then is there a good reason why it's as big as it is? Because you're putting essentially a commercial unit on an R1 lot. And that's, you know, they're the facts as I see them.
Give me 1 second, please.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so I think at this point, just because this building's paid for, exceeding the 25 feet I just don't feel right about it, so I'm gonna have to deny the application at this point.
I mean, if it's all based on R1 and residential, I mean, wasn't Bishop Egan writing the one before us R1 also?
Can anybody answer that for him?
Give me a second.
What? I'm sorry, what?
But I mean, the people that were just on before is Bishop Egan going for their sign. They're in an R1 district, aren't they?
Yeah, but the high school's been there since 1950. Well, 1960.
But I mean, in R1, you can have accessory building, you can have accessory trades, you can have home crafts, personal services, nurseries, hospitals, community centers. So I don't see, I mean, I think that the section, the Indian Creek section is technically R3, and my little chunk of property is R1. Well, I don't. Go ahead.
You're sort of conflating things. The prior application is just simply different, given how the ground's been used. And what they were asking for, which was one more additional sign, they already have a sign. And it's been a high school, as Mr. Scott indicated, for decades. So this is something new. And it doesn't mean you can't have a structure, but in order for it to comply with the code, so their application was more of a special exception. Yours is a straight variance. And there has to be some hardship. There has to be some reason why you needed to make that structure the size it is. Now, if you had conversations with Mr. Scott and the two of you concluded this would be enough, I can't really speak to that. But that sounds like what I'm hearing. Tom, I'll let you, I'm, again, not throwing anything anyway. I just want to understand why you went ahead and put this up before asking for relief. That's really what I'm getting at.
No, the building has not been constructed.
Okay.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
I
we
thought
didn't
you
do
said it was bought and paid for. I thought you said
It
you
is bought and paid for, but I didn't put it up because I was waiting for the permits.
Okay, fair. That's good. That's a good thing. That's news to me.
Well, I
So
thought
how do
it's
we
going to
bring
be
it-
good on my end now.
Yeah, well, how do we bring this better, closer into compliance? In other words, what can you tell the board about why you needed this size and height and why you can't live with something smaller?
Well, I have two trucks right now that are just at 10 feet. So there's no way for me to get my trucks into a garage that's 16 feet high when they're 10 feet trucks. And like I was saying with my equipment, I have just so much equipment. If I could show you the warehouse that I'm in now, but I don't know what good that'll do, but I can just show you some of the equipment that we have and how much room it takes up. If I didn't have to put a big building up, if I was able to use a small building, I would have only bought a small building.
Yeah. Well, again, it comes down to you want to use a residential property for a commercial use. That's much different than
But
pre-existing that's much different than a pre-existing non-conforming use of a high school that's been there for decades. They want to throw up another sign. It doesn't change the use or the character of the land in any way. In your case, you have a residential property that you want to turn into a commercial property, essentially. The right course of conduct may be to try to get that property rezoned, but they don't like to do that either. It's spot zoning.
Yeah, that would be difficult. It's just, I'm just asking to put my family business in it. I'm not saying it's we're going to be having all kinds of clients come in and it's going to be a showroom and all this other stuff. Basically, it's just a big.
Can you resolve it by having two structures? If you didn't violate any other setbacks, we're way off in La La Land, so to speak. But if you didn't violate impervious surface or any other setbacks or didn't require any variances and you ended up with two buildings, would that work? I'm just throwing it out there.
It's still the 16 foot is very difficult to deal with.
Well, Mr.
Listen,
Trader,
I'm
not
pro
thinking,
your
but
application.
16 feet and 25 feet is a big difference. I'm not saying that you can't come in front of us and try to get 20 feet, but 25 is too much. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do understand what you're saying.
It's a little bit pushing the bounds of the zoning code. That's my reason for denying it.
Well, 25 feet isn't higher than any house that's there. It's not like I'm sticking way up in the air like a big eyesore. You've seen the picture of the building. It's not a bad looking building, and it's definitely not higher than any house near it.
Listen, Mr. Trio, I don't write the zoning, I don't write the zoning codes. I'm telling you, 25 feet is too much.
Okay,
So at this point, I'm denying the application.
okay.
All right, next up is Elizabeth King, 617 Chamonix Road, Croydon, PA.
Hang on,
You're not
hang
allowed,
on.
Because you,
you're not allowing. You hit some kind of button, I can't unmute myself. Can
Hang
you hear
on,
me?
just hang on. Hang on a second.
All right, that's better.
Elizabeth King, can you hear us?
yes, I can.
Would you like me to swear her in there?
Okay, so,
Do you have John Richardson?
Hang on a second. John Richardson, can you hear us?
I can. Are you guys there?
we're here.
Is he with you, Mrs. King?
Yes. Yes, John's my engineer.
Hi, John, Ken Fetterman.
Hi, Ken. How you doing tonight?
Good.
If the board is ready, I'll give a presentation.
Okay, so we first have to get past the fact that we don't have a quorum. And I need your client to agree that Jim can make the decision. We're allowed to appoint a zoning officer, a hearing officer, when we don't have a full quorum. And given the circumstances with COVID and what's going on, this is how we've been conducting some of the meetings. So your client has a right to ask for a continuance to get a full board if they want, or they can allow Jim McMahon to make the decision in consultation with Andy Guerrillo.
I allow them to do that, yes.
Okay. The next thing we have to cover is the mail-ins.
I have those. I can share them if you want, or I can email them to you, Ken.
Just email them tomorrow, John.
All right, I can do that.
I mean, you've been through this 100 times, so you know what I'm looking for. You're telling me you have it, right?
I do. Mrs. King was given the notices from the township. I believe there was 4 of them, and the placard for the property. She posted the placard, and she instead of mailing them, she went around and got signatures in person for the 4 that the township gave her.
All right, great. So I just need copies of those. You'll email them to me tomorrow.
I will.
All right. At this point, I can turn it over to the board.
Okay.
Okay, you can start your presentation.
All right. Good evening. My name is John Richardson. I'm
Hold
from
on.
Dumac Engineering.
Mr. Richardson, I need to swear you in, please.
Oh, okay.
Can you raise your right hand? Is Ms. King going to be testifying too?
Perhaps if the board wishes or has questions for her.
Okay, let's swear you in together. Can you raise your right hand, Mrs. King?
I'm trying to get Bryce upstairs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to get him right now. He said he
Give will be the
Oh,
truth,
I
the whole truth, and
Okay,
nothing
thank you
but
very
the
much.
truth to help you God.
I do.
I do.
Actually doing this swearing in, I'm not there.
Oh, what's your name?
George Schaefer.
Oh, hi, George. I'm Kay. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, yourself. That's beautiful. I love
Oh,
that.
thanks.
Wow.
Thanks very much.
You all put together, you know, the
Oh,
thing,
thank you.
you all
Oh,
put
thank
together.
you. It's been a long day. I've actually been.
Yeah, right, yeah, right.
The coat kind of covers it up.
Good.
Yeah, and actually, the door's open. I think he must have left it open before he.
Yeah, he did.
closed.
He just called me and said, you know, I'll let you in, just text me, then I'll listen.
Yeah, I'll take you right to his office.
Okay, good.
But you're supposed to be there for the, he's
Yeah.
doing an online
Yeah,
hearing.
he's-
Yeah.
Oh, he hears my phone. I'm still on. Okay.
I'm sitting there, I'm like,
Everybody all right?
Yep.
I don't know who that was. I hope it wasn't Ken. I just muted him.
Wasn't me. I can't, you're not allowing me to unmute. I don't know what you're doing.
I can hear you. You don't need to unmute.
Okay, well, there you go. It's a beautiful thing. I'm only going by what my phone's telling me.
Go ahead, Mr. Richardson. You can start your presentation, please.
All right, thank you. My name's John Richardson. I'm from Dumac Engineering. I'm here representing Betty King. She purchased a property along Buchanan Avenue. It's very typical of the neighborhood in terms of lot size and arrangement. And I understand she spoke with the township prior to getting involved with a contractor and a housing manufacturer. And she was under the understanding of what the requirements were. We applied for the building permit and it was rejected by Gilmore, saying that among other things that we can address, but the zoning issue was that the building coverage was over. In the R2 district where this lot is located, the allowable building coverage is 25%, and we are at 27.06, a 2.06 overage, which, you know, is borderline de minimis. In terms of actual square footage, it's 180 square feet she is over on her building coverage. Everything else in regards to impervious surface and setback she's in compliance with. The building coverage, if the porches were excluded, she would be in compliance with the building coverage. Unfortunately, the zoning code would have the covered porches as part of the building coverage. I will note that the covered porches are not going to be concrete. They're going to be built similar to a deck, but instead of a deck not having a roof, they will have a roof over them. So the ground surface itself it will be dirt underneath of it. It won't be a concrete porch. I'll share my screen and I'll show you the site plan that we're currently working. It's saying I'm not able to share my screen. The plan is the house is kind of forward on the lot, very typical, a driveway feeding it. Unfortunately, like I said, I can't share my screen. I'm not sure why.
That's something they're controlling in
Yeah.
somehow.
I was going to show an aerial photograph with our house superimposed on the lot, and it shows the block that we're located on. The house that we're proposing, including the porches, is pretty typical for the block. Like I said, most of the lots on the block are all about the same size. And our house is pretty typical. In fact, there's some that are substantially larger than ours on the block, on a similar size lot. There are a few that are somewhat smaller, but barely. But there are a couple that are significantly larger than ours. So the variance that we're requesting, it wouldn't be like we're outside of the scope of the neighborhood or having a negative effect. It actually is pretty much in line with the other houses in the neighborhood, to be honest. The house is I guess it would be a Cape Cod type house, and there's going to be a porch on the front. And once again, the porches are kind of the issue in question. The porch on the front is pretty typical for a porch. It's about 5 feet by about 25, I believe. Let me verify that.
It's 27, 5 by
27 by
27.
5. And then there's a little porch in the back that is 5 feet by about 13 feet. Like I said, the porches are what actually put the building coverage over. And they are classified as porches, but it's kind of built as a deck, so it's a little bit in between, to be honest. As part of our plot plan, we're providing stormwater management above and beyond what the ordinance requires. I believe the Gilmore, while they had a couple comments, conceptually, they're okay with what we're proposing. And once again, the impervious surface, we are just below what is allowed in terms of the zoning ordinance for impervious surface. With me tonight is Betty King. I'll turn over to her and let her explain her situation and why she's building this house and why she's looking for the variance.
Good evening. I just wanted everyone to know that this is our forever home. We are planning to retire here. We're not flipping this house or selling it or anything like that. I did help design this house with the builder, and when I realized we may be over the buildable space, I did call the township building office. I spoke to a woman whose name I cannot remember and asked her if the porches are included in the buildable space. I knew they were included in the impervious. She asked me if they were on concrete. I said, no, they weren't. They were raised porches with decking. She said, then they weren't included in the buildable space. I further explained that they did have a roof on them. She said that didn't matter. As long as they weren't on concrete, they didn't count as buildable. They did
All right,
count
can I,
for the.
Mr. Chairman, this has got nothing to do with the matter before you. If Mrs. King is appealing a denial, then that wasn't advertised. There is no one in this building authorized to answer zoning questions other than myself and Bob McTagg. People call up the staff and start asking them questions, not telling them what's going on.
No, sir. No.
Now, Mrs. King, I'm telling you, unless you spoke to me or Bob McTagg in this office.
No, I did not.
You were just asking somebody to answer the phone to give you a zoning determination. Now let's move on with the variance, please.
Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead, Ms. King. Please, speak of the variance, not anything else, please.
Yes, sir. I don't have anything else to say on that. I just wanted you to know that we're not flipping this house. We're not selling it. I've lived in Croydon for 22 years. And before that, I was born and raised in Bensalem. This is my hometown, and this is our dream house. And I respectfully ask for the variance for our porches. Thank you for your time.
Fair enough.
I just wanted to recap that, we are only talking about 2% over. It's borderline de minimis. It's 180 square feet. And if there was any questions.
I don't have any questions at this point. Mr. Scott, anything to add?
No questions, thank you.
Okay, is there anybody in the audience that'd like to speak for or against this project? I don't hear anybody. Just give me a few minutes. I'll consult with Andy Grillo, and then I'll get back to you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I think at this time, 2% is not a whole lot. So I'm going to say yes to this applicant on their variance.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Thank you very much, sir.
Very good. Jim, I think we have one more matter because we have one that was continued that I don't think we addressed.
Yeah, I'm going to do that right now, Ken. Before we get to the next applicant, we have a little business to take care of for a continuance on Brad Ingerman, MBID of Delaware LLC. There's a letter here. I'll read real quick. It's via email. Colleen Costello, Administrative Assistant, Department of Building and Planning Development. Request for continuance, application to Zoning Hearing Board, the Lighthouse at Norton Avenue, 1150 Norton Avenue, parcel 05065, lots 16, 17, 18, 19, 27, 28, 29, 32, 33, 37,
Oh, you're gonna touch
38,
17, 18, 19.
27, 28, 29, 32, 33, 37, 38, 79, and 80. Dear Ms. Costello, on behalf of the applicant, please accept this letter as a request to the zoning board to continue the above referred application to February 8th, 2021 zoning hearing board meeting. We are in the process of revising the plans to remove the proposed daycare facility and provide additional parking spaces for the project. Based on the feedback we received during the tentative sketch plan presentation with the council on December 17th, this week, we intend to amend the application materials by submitting revised plans with a revised list of requested relief. Please let me know if there's any questions or require additional information at this time. Sincerely, Langdon Engineering and Environmental Services. So with that being said, I am going to ask for a continuance. I'm going to give a continuance for Brad Ingerman, MBID, for February 8th, 2021.
So noted.
Okay, last on the agenda is Lavender Builders, LLC, 1060 Big Oak Road, Langhorne, PA. Everybody there?
Bryce?
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Apologies for the mask. My client is in the same room as me. He's right over there.
Okay, Ken?
Yes.
Has to give a speech and then you can continue.
Okay, so we're conducting this meeting tonight with the zoning hearing officer in lieu of a full board or a board with a quorum. That's what we can do. The code allows for it. And if you do not want to proceed under this procedure, we're giving you the option of asking for a continuance until such time as we can have a quorum on the board. It's your choice.
On behalf of my client, we don't have any objection to proceeding with Mr. McMahon. However, I'm sure that there are some neighbors here in attendance. I believe I've seen a few. If they have any problems with it, then we can address that. But I don't see any reason why we can't do that today.
Okay, then let's move forward. Now, as far as the mail-ins, this seems to be a new application. Am I right or wrong?
You're correct. This is a new application. We did provide service, and I believe my office emailed that to the township as well. I think to you also, Ken, earlier today.
Probably went to Dean. If not, it went to me. Okay, if you say you sent it, then you sent it.
We sent it to Colleen Costello.
Okay. Well, Colleen can forward it to me tomorrow.
Sounds good. Thank you, Ken.
Right.
Okay, you can start your presentation.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. McMahon. My name is Bryce McGuigan from Begley Carlin. I'm here on behalf of my clients, Lavender Builders. This project is in reference to property they own located on Avenue C in Newportville. The tax map parcel number 5-16-77. As I'm sure Mr. McMahon and Mr. Grillo, you remember, this property, we previously filed a zoning hearing board application, which was heard by the board on November 9th. Some local neighbors came out to express some concerns on the project, and I think it's fair to say to oppose the project, and the project was denied at that point. Since then, we've had a chance to discuss those issues with the neighbors in much more detail. We've incorporated what we hope are some of their the complaints and some of the concerns they had, and we've actually gone back to the drawing board and made some changes to the project. What we have here tonight incorporates those changes. I would be more than happy to conduct a full hearing on this if the board desires. However, what I would also be happy to do is to incorporate the record for the prior hearing and then to discuss the changes to the project and to present Mr. Fioravanti, who's here on my client's behalf, to go into more detail as to those changes if need be. Whichever the board would prefer, I'm prepared to do either.
All right, I think at this point we can go with the latter, the changes, and take it from there.
Thank you very much, Mr. McMahon. Not an issue. So obviously on November 9th, we were here before for a hearing. At that point, numerous neighbors were there. I believe there were 7 or 8 neighbors, and I believe 4 of them came forward and offered testimony with respect to the project. After that hearing, I was fortunate enough to be able to speak with a few of those neighbors in the lobby of your building. And they expressed a willingness to, look, if we made some changes, to sit down and hear us out and to go over the project in more detail. We had a chance to have that meeting. That was back right before Christmas, I believe on December 22nd. A meeting in my office that was attended by every neighbor who offered public comment at the prior hearing, with the exception of Mr. John McClay. There were also a few neighbors there who did not offer public comment, but they were at our meeting to hear what we're doing and to go through the project. So since that hearing, since that meeting, we've come up with this new plan that Mr. Fioravanti will be happy to go through in a bit more detail. But essentially, what we're doing is, first thing we've done was we moved the berm to the rear of the property. We moved that inward into the property more. What that's allowed us to do is to save 2 trees that were initially proposed to be removed. Those are now staying. So instead of our proposal to remove 20 trees, we're only removing 18. What that also allows us to do, it allows us to install a line of trees along the southern edge of the property that borders the property owned by Leanne and Kyle Pelkey. What we're also doing is we're installing a line of trees on the eastern side of the property that borders Mr. McClay's property. Lastly, we're also installing trees to line the extension of Avenue B.
I'm sorry, the extension of what?
Avenue B that we are proposing. No problem. So these changes have a practical effect. I know one of the big concerns, because again, we're requesting the same 3 variances that we were here to request before. First is for woodlands disturbance. Second is to calculate setbacks from the lot lines rather than the protected resources, which in this case are the woodlands. And third, regarding buffering to the neighboring industrial district. We're still requesting the same variances, and they all relate to the woodlands. So what our goal was to do is to keep these lots wooded. And even though we're proposing the removal of 18 trees on the property, what we're doing is we're also proposing the installation of a total of 56 new trees. So that will be a net increase of 38 trees, if my math is correct. Now, that will also have another positive effect with respect to stormwater. The initial plans called for that berm and a controlled release of up to 6 inches of water. Now that we're adding those additional trees, as Vince will discuss, we now do not have to control as much water. That actually reduces the amount of water that we need to treat in that controlled release system by 35%, which again, that's less water that we have to treat, less of an impact that we're having because of the extra trees that we're proposing. So the sum and total of this, like I said, is we are offering the differences from the original application. We're proposing 56 new trees. We're proposing a stormwater system located further from the rear property line and a system that has to deal with less of the water. So with that, I would like to, with the help of Vince Fioravanti here, maybe go through the plan in a bit of detail so that the board can understand and so that any of the neighbors who are on this call also revisit it, being as it's been some time since we spoke. Vince?
So moved.
Thank you,
Good
sir.
evening, everyone.
I think they can swear you in, Vince.
Okay.
Could you raise your right hand, Vince, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Great. Vince, are you able to share your screen, or Tom, do we need you to help us out here?
I'll give it a shot. Okay, looks like I have it. Can you see the screen?
Yeah, perfectly.
Okay.
All right, Vince. So what are we staring at?
Okay, well, we'll go through the changes in the exhibit as compared to the last hearing. And again, as you mentioned, the first change, if you look at the bottom where my pointer is pointing to, we've relocated the berm northward on the property, which has a couple of benefits. First, it saves a couple of existing trees that would otherwise have had to come down. And second, it allows us room, as you can see along the southern border, to plant a buffer with evergreens and deciduous trees to buffer the project from the adjoiner to the south. That was the first change. The second change is, again, additional buffering along the western edge of the property. I'm going to point with my pointer down the western edge. You can see the evergreens and the different street trees or buffer and canopy trees that we're proposing along the western perimeter of the property. Third change is up along the extension of Avenue B. You can see the trees that were proposed, the trees that were coming down to allow for the extension. And then typically street trees that on either side, red maples, pin oaks, all on the township approved list that we're proposing in that area. Also, again, when these trees mature, it'll just remain wooded because the canopies will cover everything. We also have trees along the eastern border. There's a couple of trees along the perimeter there as well. A total of 56 trees, and the list of those trees and their calipers and sizes is included on the plant schedule. So the property is essentially going to receive 56 new trees to replace or mitigate the 18 that were coming down. So when you look at the variances that are requested, that all have to do with the woodlands. In effect, this site will remain wooded when we're finished.
Right, and Vince, just a couple quick questions here. So, obviously at the last hearing, stormwater was I think it's fair to say a big issue, and we talked about that at our meeting with the neighbors. Is that right?
Yes.
Right, and just for again, because it's been a few weeks, and I know a lot's happened since then. But just to reiterate, according to the township ordinance, it is our duty to not exacerbate any pre-existing problems. Is that right?
Yes.
And is that what we're doing?
Yeah, sorry. And we did it with both of our exhibits, the last one as well as this one. But in this particular exhibit, with the planting of the 56 trees, there are water quality credits that are available for the planting of each tree. There's 10 cubic feet of credit for each evergreen tree and 6 cubic feet of credit for each deciduous tree because the trees themselves actually purify the water and take up groundwater, which is part of the intent of the stormwater ordinance. So when you start to factor in the credits that we will receive from planting of the trees, now it's expensive to plant this many trees, but once we do plant these trees, we do get credits for stormwater, which actually allows us to reduce the amount of water that we have to treat. So you can also see in the colored in blue, the amount of water was much decreased from our previous submittal because of the credits that will be allowed for the planting of the new species.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I know there were also a few other issues that we discussed. I know one of them was, and you don't have to share this anymore.
Okay.
Now, so one of the other issues that we discussed that was brought up was potential sewage issues. Can you just do me a favor and just explain briefly what impact will our proposal have on the septic system in the area?
Okay, and actually this area is a public sewer system and the impact will be negligible. The lot originally was created in a subdivision several years ago, and this proposal actually is just adding one more lot by subdividing the tract into two. It was already approved for one dwelling, and this now adds one additional dwelling, really. So when you look at the wastewater flow, and we'll be tying into the public sewer system, it's going to be what they call one EDU per house. So we're building 2 houses. One should have been approved with the first subdivision. But even if it were 2 EDUs, an equivalent dwelling unit as DEP sets forth for planning purposes is about 350 gallons over a 24-hour period. So it's very little. Essentially, it's 100 gallons per person, and they figure the average house has 3.5 people in it. So you'd have 3.5 times 100, so you'd have 350 gallons per day per house, for a total of about 700 gallons per day. And in this kind of situation, with the density that exists in this area, it's a completely negligible amount of flow. It would just exist in the morning with the showers, in the evening with cooking, and like essentially the same kind of peak demands that all the other residences have. And there's industrial buildings behind us. There's a lot of density draining into the public sewer system. And the addition of 2 dwellings would be unnoticeable.
And I know one of the other issues that was raised was the neighbor right next door, Mr. McClay. He just wanted to confirm that, that we weren't going to be doing anything on his property. And can you confirm the extent of when we're extending that Avenue B, are we going to be doing anything on anyone's property?
No, not whatsoever. We'll be within the Paper Street right of way. We'll just be extending a common driveway and extending utilities just to service the 2 lots. And we won't be impacting anyone's private property whatsoever.
Okay. And, just to confirm, again, we're not asking for any variances for impervious surface, correct?
Correct.
Nothing for building coverage, correct?
Correct.
We don't need anything for lot width or lot area.
Correct.
And nothing regarding setbacks apart from the setback from the woodlands or the natural resources.
That is correct also.
And without that variance, we literally couldn't build anything on this lot. Fair enough?
Yes.
All right. In your opinion, is there any reason why this is detrimental to the community or would exacerbate any problems in this neighborhood whatsoever?
No, I think it'll be more of a wooded lot when we're finished than it is currently.
Okay. Thank you very much, Vince. And, at this point, if the board has any questions, I know there are neighbors on this call too. So if the neighbors would like to add any questions or, if they want to make any statements, we'll be more than happy to address those comments.
Yeah, Mr. McGuigan, I have a question about, I recall at the last meeting that we discussed people that are going to buy these houses, and if they decide they want to put a shed up or a pool or something to that degree, can you speak of that because of the wooded areas?
Mm-hmm. Sure. And if I remember, I think the board's concern was. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. I believe okay. I believe the concern of the board was by granting some sort of a variance in woodlands disturbance that's basically carte blanche for a future property owner to maybe build a pool or put in a shed or something without going through the necessary process. So what I would say to that is twofold. First, any potential future development would still have to satisfy all the requirements of the Bristol Township Code of Ordinances. But I would also say my clients would be completely in favor if the board were to grant our requested relief today, if the board wanted to condition the grant of relief from the woodland disturbance and say that this is only regarding this particular project, and that any future development or future proposals would need to abide by the Bristol Code of Ordinances with respect to woodland disturbance as if this variance were not granted. So basically a one-shot deal. And I think that would be fair. That way future occupants of the property and future owners would need to, again, abide by that as well. So the township would be able to approach each one of those on an individual basis.
Is there going to be any, would there be anything?
One at a time, please.
Sorry. Would there be anything in the deed that would put, I think the concern of the board had to do with putting people on notice, that they don't buy something and then realize they can't do something with it that they thought they could. Is there going to be some type of deed restriction?
I would be more than, I'm sorry, Ken.
That's okay. I just want to ask you if you would agree to that as a condition so that people who would buy these homes would do so with their eyes wide open And so there wouldn't be any surprises or complaints down the line.
We'd be more than happy to do that. I'd be happy to draft a deed restriction for each property for your approval. And obviously my clients would be more than happy to enter into that, of course.
I think that's critical, especially if it's in the deed and people are aware of it, the title company knows about it, it's called out. If they're represented by counsel or not, it should be clear. Where I've seen things go awry is when it's not in a deed, but it's in some kind of supplemental development agreement that gets buried in a larger type of development where people don't realize they have impervious surface restrictions and the like. But if it's in the deed, nobody can say that they weren't aware of it. And obviously, that's going to impact perhaps the price and the value of the project, but at least people will be on notice.
I agree, and we'll be more than happy to do that. And like you said, better safe than sorry. And you want people purchasing the property to know that they have this restriction. So we'll be more than happy to do that. Yes.
All right, thank you.
I got a question. The light pole for John on Avenue B.
I'm sorry, what's your name?
Jim Cassisi.
Can you spell it, please?
CASSIZZI.
CRSSI?
CASSIZZI.
Excuse me, are you part of the presentation or are you just a resident?
I'm a resident from around here. No, I'm just asking for John.
No, we're going to get to you, sir. Right now, we're at questions from the board. So give us a few minutes and we'll get to you. You'll have your chance to ask your question, all right? Thank you. You have any questions? Okay, Mr.
Wait a minute, can I make a statement? I would ask that anybody that's not speaking in the audience, please mute their microphone. I'm getting a lot of background noise. Thank you.
Mr. Scott, anything to add to this applicant?
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, now, at this point, we're going to ask the people in the audience that are for or against this project to speak. All right. Who was first?
I think Mr. Cassisi, I don't know.
Good, sir.
Can you raise your right hand, sir?
I think he's muted.
Can you please unmute your microphone? Mr. Cassisi, can you please unmute your microphone? Can you say something so we can hear you?
The microphone still looks muted.
Okay, anybody else from the audience?
Now, there we go.
Now he's unmuted.
Okay.
Mr. Cassisi, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna swear you in. Do you
Aye.
solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
I just got one concern. John, the old man, he was worrying about the light pole.
Yes.
I wanted to just ask about that.
Well, what I'll say is we are not going to alter anything on anyone's property, including his. Now, if that light pole is actually off of his property and actually within the right of way, and we would need to move that to put the street in, then we would do that and we would put it on his property. But if it is currently on his property, we aren't touching it.
I just wanted, if he asked, I could tell him. That's why.
No, not a problem. Appreciate you clarifying that. Thanks.
Anybody else in the audience like to speak for or against this project? Okay. I don't hear anybody else. Anybody else want to speak? Okay. Give me 1 minute and I'm going to confer with Andy Grillo and then I will get back to you. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to say yes to this application and the variances. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. I think
Motion.
I need a motion to adjourn. So moved. All in favor? Aye. The ayes have it.
Aye.
Have a good night, everybody. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Well, that worked.
So it's just gonna be